All right, hello, people in YouTube land, members of the Cringe Group Gaming Discord community, and people who follow us on Twitch. I am Traductus.
And I'm Ted.
And we are reviewing Roger Moore's first film, Live and Let Die. Now, unfortunately, we are not. We are talking about the this is sick. It is the sixth and final month. Okay, so this is. Oh no, this is number 7, ain't it?
It's the 7th overall. It's
Yeah. Okay. There. All right. Yeah. Oh God. Uh, yeah. This is the 7th film. Diamonds Are Forever. And... God.
you can already tell how we
skip over shit.
Yeah, you can already tell how we felt about it. Just can't get ourselves together. This was not the best one we've had to review. I'm hoping we get through this quicker than we got through the Ugh.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're gonna do a background of the film. Then we're going to do likes and dislikes. I'm pretty sure the likes are gonna be shorter. Our overall thoughts. Probably compare Blofeld's, since Blofeld's played by a different actor again. And and our ranking. But anyway, Diamonds Are Forever, released in 1971, directed by Guy Hamilton, the guy that directed Goldfinger. They also brought in Tom Mankiewicz to do the screenplay along with Richard Maybaum, because Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman felt that British screenwriters would write lousy American gangsters, so they wanted to bring in Tom Mankiewicz, who worked in a couple previous Bond films, to write the characters, which we'll get to on whether he did an alright job writing American gangsters. Anyway, budget was 7.2 million. And hold on, let me scroll down to see how much. Oh, see how much of that went to Sean Connery for returning and coming back to this shitty fucking movie. 1.25 million.
He literally made like a sixth of the budget. Right?
I mean, to be fair, he's one of the only good parts of the movie. And it made 116 million altogether. It had positive reviews when it came out. Needless to say, all reviews nowadays are negative, and and even the positive reviews even say the movie itself is terrible, even though they enjoyed it.
Checks out.
All right. As for production. Peter Hunt was supposed to direct it. He was working on a different film. Because he didn't put full effort into like wanting to direct another Bond film, since George Lazenby was not returning. He was supposed to be in this like 4 other Bond films. So like 6 Bond films total after On Her Majesty's Secret Service. But during, production of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, due to bad advice from his agent, decided not to return to the Bond series. This was originally supposed to be the revenge flick where Bond gets revenge on Blofeld and Irma Bunt. Tracy's dad was supposed to show up in this. But due to George Lazenby not returning, and apparently Richard Maybaum's script wasn't up to par, they scrapped the entire thing and rewrote it from the ground up. It also doesn't help that the actress that played Irma Bunt died shortly after the release of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So the character of Irma Bunt does not show up again in the cinematic universe. She gets away. despite pulling a drive-by on Bond's wife. That being said, originally, apparently, one of the rewrites was they were gonna have Auric Goldfinger's twin seeker revenge on his brother, which I have a feeling would have made him a lot more entertainingly bad movie than this.
Yes.
But they decided that they kind of wanted to reboot this for an American audience, even though they technically didn't reboot it, but that's the only thing I can come up with thinking why they picked Diamonds Are Forever, because it's predominantly set in America, and they really wanted the American audience. Casting, originally they weren't gonna have Sean Connery. Like, when Lazenby wasn't coming back, they actually were gonna have this guy named John Gavin, but United Artists was like, no, we want Connery back. Other people that were asked were Clint Eastwood, Adam West, and Burt Reynolds. All three said no because Bond should not be played by an American actor.
Listen, I respect their choice to not be in this specific film, but I think any three of them would have been like significantly better. They would have added at least a new dimension to this god-awful film.
God. Felix Leiter's recast because fuck it, they recast him in other film in the other films he's in. The role of Blofeld is cast by Charles Gray, who played Deco Henderson in You Only Live Twice. I think he actually does a better job as a villain in this film. Maybe may not as a good job as like Blofeld, but like as like an overall villain, the Bond woman, Tiffany Case, is played by Jill St. John. She was a comedic actor up until this time. We also have Jimmy Dean. Yes, that Jimmy Dean country singer turned sausage entrepreneur as the role of Willard White. He was hesitant of taking this role because Willard White is basically based off of Howard Hughes, and he worked for a casino that Howard Hughes owned, and he didn't want to piss off his boss and get fired. However, I could not find out if Howard Hughes seen this film or not. I assume he either did and thought Jimmy Dean did a good job, or avoided this god-awful movie. Because Jimmy Dean, nothing says that Jimmy Dean got fired. Norman Burton, Felix Leiter. For the two henchmen, we have Bruce Glover, the father of Crispin Glover, who is the person that plays George McFly from Back to the Future. He plays Mr. Wint. And Putter Smith, who is a jazz musician that Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli saw play. And they're just like, hey, you want to be in this movie? He's like, yeah, sure. He plays Mr. Kidd. And funny thing is that even though in the book Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd are alluded to being homosexuals, they're not necessarily alluded as being a couple. That was totally Bruce Glover and Putter Smith misinterpreting the script and was like, oh, okay, I guess we're a couple. Hence why they're holding hands and stuff. And the people making the movie were just like, well, that checks out. And also for the other Bond woman there that's briefly there, Lotta Wood as Plenty O'Toole. Because you gotta have that pun there, apparently. But
not subtle with dick jokes.
Yeah, weird thing, though, about casting Alana Wood. She is the sister of an actress by the name of Natalie Wood, who was like known in like Little House on the Prairie, I think. But anyway, I basically know her from like a true crime thing where she passed away from accidental drowning under mysterious circumstances, and she at the time was like with an actor by the name of Richard Wagner. Well, anyway, that Richard Wagner ended up marrying Jill St. John, who plays Tiffany Case in this movie. And apparently was also one of the people that they were trying to see, like one of the candidates who could have been the next James Bond, as opposed to bringing Connery back. And even more weird, on that boat that night where Lana Wood's sister Natalie Wood passed away, was Christopher Walken, who plays a Bond villain in a later Bond film. So small world.
It is. Definitely is.
Basically everybody kind of returns to the roles. I'd add in there for about Lois Maxwell as Moneypenny. She actually was holding out for money, so her scene was like last minute. So her and Connery's scenes are filmed separately, which I have to say it wasn't really that bad of a job. Like if you weren't looking for it, you couldn't really tell.
Fair.
But anyway, I think we're all right with that. Oh, this movie was also nominated for an Academy Award for Best Sound. We could probably talk about it later if the sound was an improvement of the other films, but I don't know if Ted was paying attention. Luckily, this one didn't win. And I actually did look up if Bond films have won Academy Awards. There's only four that have so far. That would be Goldfinger with Best Sound Effects, Thunderball with Best Special Visual Effects, Skyfall won 2 with Best Sound Editing and Best Original Song with Skyfall, and Spectre won with Best Original Song.
Okay.
I figured I'd get that out of the way in case I didn't talk about it in Thunderball or Goldfinger, because I forget.
I don't think so, but I don't know nothing.
But yeah, so this is an Academy Award nominated film. But at least it was for like sound as opposed to like this. At least this wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
That's true. That's true.
Although there are a lot dumber films that have won and been nominated for Best Picture.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, I thought the sound was notably better than the last few, but I guess it's hard to say that it was good because it wouldn't live up to modern standards. Like, I guess I would have to know what else was nominated from that category that year to be able to judge fairly.
Yeah, for this, I don't know. I know that Thunderball and Goldfinger were only up against one other movie.
It definitely helps.
So, yeah. But anyway, I guess likes.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I don't know. Maybe we could have you to go first because that'll be interesting. Me, I'm just gonna be memeing.
Okay. I thought that Connery did a very good job coming back and sticking to character. He jumped seemingly like flawlessly back into the role, and like his performance was like exceptionally good. I don't know that it's because he was good. Like, I can honestly say that it may have just stood out amongst a lot of other really bad acting, but I did think that he stuck to his character very well. I will say that that's especially notable because there were several points in time where I noticed that like the writing in the scene was very bad, but he did a really good job at like remaining in character and not just laughing at how abysmal it was. And weirdly enough, it felt like he phoned this one in less than he did in his first last film.
Which is weird because like he's just super Scottish in this movie.
He definitely did sound like a Scotsman and not at all a Brit, which is why it was kind of funny that like you mentioned that the Americans didn't want the role, like, but yeah, but I like realistically between that and the sound design, I thought I thought those were the very few like standout positives. It seemed like slightly better cinematography than we've seen, but I wouldn't say it's the best one. Like there were some like very mild positives that I don't necessarily know are worth noting because they weren't like outwardly very good, and I also don't want to give the impression that I enjoyed this movie in the slightest.
Right. Okay. For me, there's a lot of shots of Blofeld's cat, Mr. Bigglesworth. Yes, I know Blofeld's cat's not named in the Bond franchise, but thanks to Austin Powers, he will forever be known as Mr. Bigglesworth. I do like some aspects, especially like near the ending where like Bond's like blatantly pissing off Blofeld. Like Charles Gray's like obviously has that look of like annoyance, which is which is amazing, even though there's like a lot of things in this film. It's like there's parts where despite how like there's parts that are so ridiculous that you can't help not to enjoy. Such as that. Also, Jimmy Dean as Willard White is pretty hilarious, especially when the guy that's supposed to be working for him that ends up betraying him for Blofeld like gets killed, and it's like, oh, it's like, oh shit, that was Saxby, and he just goes, Bert Saxby, tell him he's fired.
Yeah.
And when Connery gives him the look of like, that's my line. Other things, the fact that when Bond like I guess stumbles on like Willard like Blofeld or Willard White or whoever it is faking the moon landing, and the two astronauts are, even though like they're supposed to like go after like Bond and stop them, they're still acting like they're in moon gravity. There's certain gags like that which I know were meant to be kind of like a comedic thing, which some of them work. A lot of the time, it's like they don't necessarily work in the context of this movie because it takes itself serious. But like, what's another? Oh yeah, the song. The song's actually pretty damn good. But other than that, there's not a whole lot. I do like Mr. Wit and Mr. Kidd. I like how unsettling they are. But unfortunately, it does kind of get undermined with the fact that even though they're supposed to be unsettling, and I guess this will go my first dislike, everybody that's not a main character in this that just shows up for like a scene or two is extremely unsettling for whatever fucking reason.
That was literally my first note, was that it looked like every single person in this movie was on meth. Like, there was not one person who wasn't meth-riddled through this whole movie, whether their teeth were all sorts of messed up, their skin, or they couldn't blink. Like, just everybody was wired on meth.
Oh, God. A lot of the acting was bad. I give like a little slack on Putter Smith just because like he's not an actor. So, but like a lot of people apparently that were like cast in this were actors, and it's just like it's like I know acting has come a long way from then until now, but the acting wasn't that bad back then.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the gangsters are all stereotypes. There's a lot of awkwardness throughout a lot of like these movies. Which is line delivery. Not movies, but this movie. God. What?
Yeah. It's
Sorry
such
for the pause, but this movie was a chore to get through.
It absolutely was. I can take over while you're churning your list.
Yeah.
I had I will give the credit where it's due for the sound. But everything they did positively for sound was detracted by the light in the movie. There were several scenes that were too bright, too dark, couldn't see things you needed to see, or just in a weird light. I know that's kind of a trope of modern action movies that, like, you know, you aren't supposed to be able to see every little detail, so they mess with the lighting or the camera angles or whatever, but this was like just notably bad. I thought the
special effects range from like decent to like terrible.
I was gonna say the best ones were decent at best, but the effects were awful again.
Yeah,
Like
the
really
practical effects
terrible.
were good, but like everything that they did as like their version of CGI, which I guess is like stop motion and animation, was just like
It was
looked rushed.
It was well, it was prehistoric. I mean, the cavemen could have come up with a better effect than that without knowing how to use the technology. Like there were some that were absolutely abysmal.
A lot of it seemed like something that you would see in a 50s science fiction movie, and the thing is that a lot of them could get away with it because the film's in black and white. You know, this is in color, so you can,
Right.
like you can see some stuff doesn't come out, as obvious in black and white as it is in color.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought that the sexism was also overt again too. Not only
yeah,
did they make an abundance of really crappy dick puns, but they also like there were several scenes that were it was different than it had been in the previous movies where it was like more dismissal of women. This was more aggressive towards women.
yeah.
Which
Although oddly enough, it's more of the script as opposed to like Bond himself.
yeah, and I found it from multiple characters too. You know, with the previous way that they were sexist was a whole lot of like just again disregarding women. You know,
Yeah.
And that tended to be Bond because they were, you know, at least up until the last one, they were, you know, objectified, I guess, as just a you know a bonus trophy. In this one, like, while I don't think there was a high regard for women, the sexism that jumped off the page was like very blatant and overt, and I thought it came from a lot more characters than just Bond.
Yeah. It also doesn't help the fact that Tiffany Case is written to be a fucking idiot.
Right.
Which is sad because apparently for what I was reading up, she's actually a lot more fleshed out in the book. And her Bond actually falls in love with her and they move in together, in which she gets sick of him having to like go on missions and shit like that and leaves him by the next book. But like you couldn't have added that into this instead of just making her like one dimensional. And here's the thing that's kind of irks me a little bit, like all the American characters in this movie are stupid. All of them. They're very all of them are very inept at their job. And here's the thing, like I don't mind, making fun of Americans and stuff like that. There's a lot of dumb Americans and stuff like that. And yes, a lot of us, have been working a job for so long that we don't really care for and we slack with because, fuck this, I don't want to be here. But we're not completely that inept.
Yeah. A lot of
especially the police chase.
Oh god, that was so bad. My biggest complaint I think comes from like just how poor the writing was. Like the writing was just it felt like a whole lot of filler and not a whole lot of plot. The plot was weakly developed. It was not thorough. Like they didn't actually like really invest into the plot. It felt like they made like 40 minutes of plot and then filled the rest around a 2-hour movie that I found was kind of weak. I think that turned into a lot of really weak characters and characters who didn't matter. And it made the movie feel so slow.
Yeah, and it filled it. Yeah, this is only a 2-hour movie. Like the film before us was like 2 hours and 20 minutes. That felt quicker to get through than this.
It really did. It really did. I would argue that like as much as I complained about the underwater scene a couple of movies ago being slow, this whole movie felt like that because the plot was so thin and there was nothing to it. They didn't do anything for character development. Like I said, there were characters that just weren't necessary. Like they just wrote them there so they had extra people to hire. It seemed. But it definitely made all of the characters feel weak and unnecessary and genuinely I don't think this added anything to the Bond franchise. This was just nothing.
And on top of that, there's also a scene that's cut out that honestly would have helped the plot out a little bit more. Because Plenty O'Toole, she like dies, but like you see her get thrown into a pool, and then you see her at Tiffany Case's dead underneath the pool, and then you're just like, well, why the hell did she get there? And then it's like, well, I mean, Bond says, oh yeah, she was going to confront you, and it's like, well, why? How does she know that Bond and Tiffany were together? And really, there's a deleted scene where she sees them together and then finds Tiffany's address by rifling through her purse. And it's like, you know, that would actually make the scene that's, there make sense, but whatever, cut, I guess, an important plot point to like a somewhat unimportant. Well, actually, no, that's actually important because it actually, there's one thing that this actually does compared it to Goldfinger, Guy Hamilton's first Bond film. At least Tiffany Case's reason for switching sides makes a hell of a lot more sense and is better done because she realizes that, oh shit, like they were going to kill me, so I guess I better help the other side so that way I don't die.
Yeah, even beyond the deleted scenes or the plot holes or whatever that were pretty minute, like I just thought the plot overall was pretty weak. Like there wasn't a whole lot of story. I mean,
sure.
This could have been like an animated short, like you could have told this whole story in 20 minutes if you were thoughtful about it. There was just no substance.
And on top of that, like Blofeld's whole thing is fucking weak. Like it is kind of scary, like, oh yeah, I set a satellite up in the air that can like shoot laser beams and destroy, buildings and cities and nuclear missiles and shit like that. But he's doing it for money. The last fucking Bond film, he was asking for complete immunity and also like keeping the title of Count rolling over this, area that he was in. To me, that's a lot more stakes than, oh, I just want money.
Yeah, and the other weird part, like I said, I think the writing contributes to some really weak characters, but it just felt like they just dumbed it down for no reason. There was no thinking, there was no higher levels of thought. No, I'll figure this out. Like there's no, I guess mystery element might not be the right thing there for Bond movies, but like there's no element of development. There's no like purpose for any of these characters. I mean, this really contributed nothing and took away from characters we already knew.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's God, what else?
I was gonna say, I mean, if you don't have any other significant dislikes, we can get into rankings too.
Oh, it just makes me really think that I wish that George Lazenby came back. We could have gotten a better movie. It's a sad that we kind of, and even then, I tried giving this a fair shake. I really tried giving this a fair shake. I was like, I know this is going to be different from the other one. Maybe it'll be like, cause like with Thunderball, I remember that not being as good as it was, and I watched it. I'm like, wow, I like it better. This one. Oh my, this one, I don't remember it as being as bad as it is. Which is a problem.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
It was really rough to get through. It really was.
I guess we could compare Blofeld's. I think Charles Gray does an alright job as the villain. My issue is that his portrayal of Ernst Stavro Blofeld isn't akin to how Ernst Stavro Blofeld has been portrayed in the other films. He's not threatening at all.
Yeah,
like
I don't have any like detriments to say like against him or the way that he played the character. The character, but I think it's like it did a disservice because that character was already written before and written better.
Yeah.
Like
if he was
every complaint I have about him was that these writers took over and did it this time. If it had been a different villain, I probably could be more forgiving about it. But just the idea that like he was already written one way, let's just completely just scrap that character with a different actor and call him the same name.
Yeah. And the sad thing is with this, in the official series, well, I'll say this: No, I'm gonna say official series. I'm not gonna give any fucking spoilers.
Yeah.
Alright. In the official series, as far as you know, even though they do kind of a poor job, later down the road, this is Blofeld's last portrayal. His fate is left ambiguous for a reason. Uh, because, they were planning on bringing him back in, The Spy Who Loved Me, it's 3 films after this. But Kevin McClory, it was after the 10-year thing where Kevin McClory couldn't make a film, make Thunderball, make his version of Thunderball. So he was able to petition to have them not be able to use the organization of Spectre or Stepford Blofeld because they appear in Thunderball first. So, yeah. So, this is the last film. So, it's either A, you assume that Blofeld gets killed in the explosion, or B, there's a movie after this where there's a not Blofeld, obviously Blofeld, but totally can't say that he's Blofeld because, well, we don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
So, you have to basically assume that fate of that character. And by the way, this is not the villain of Spy Who Loved Me. This is like the pre-title sequence of For Your Eyes Only. But needless to say, not a really good way to go out with that character. This movie's just disappointment all around.
Absolutely.
I guess you have any final thoughts before ranking?
No, I don't think so. I don't need to harp again on how poorly the writing was done, and I think I made that point.
Yeah. The issue is that it doesn't know if it wants to be kind of like a lighthearted parody or somewhat kind of grounded in seriousness. And I think if they would have made it went the way of making it extremely fucking dumb, it would have made it for a much entertaining movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say even a parody would be entertaining. This was just dry.
And with that, and it's for the sheer fact that it dragged. None of the Bond films that we've watched had it drag throughout the entire thing. This is dead last for me. Yes, I understand that Dr. No might not be a well put together it's a cinematic classic, but it's not they were still kind of figuring shit out, so it's not a tight cohesive movie, but at least it didn't feel like a chore to get through. At least not with me. This one did. I have to rank it dead last.
Okay. I know this is gonna sound weird, but I need you to hear me out, right? I'm gonna put it between Goldfinger and Dr. No. Closer to Dr. No being that bad, but
You Only Live Twice is above Dr. No.
I had Goldfinger. What did I have? I don't fucking know. Whatever.
You had Dr. No, You Only Live Twice, and Goldfinger.
Okay, so all right, closer to Dr. No before You Only Live Twice. Still worse, right?
Okay.
Dr. No was bad, but at least they put effort into it being bad. I really, really didn't enjoy You Only Live Twice or Goldfinger, but at least in those they developed a plot, they cared about characters,
yes,
you could tell that there was effort into a movie that I just didn't enjoy. This was just a lazy excuse for effort towards this movie. The only reason that it's above Dr. No, I think, is because they didn't put enough thought into how bad it was. Dr. No was aggressively bad. This was more passively bad because they were lazy. I really didn't think I would have anything that rivaled Dr. No, but this was hard. Hard to get through.
With this being worse than I remember, there's other films that I've ranked lower than Diamonds Are Forever, and I'm just my God, Like, how bad?
I have to.
Or am I was just being facetious?
I was gonna say at this point I have to hope that like those rankings for you are edited, like as you watch them again, like there's positives to say, because this I hate that I had to give it any positives whatsoever, because like it was so bad.
As our friend Haley, while we're watching this, actually said after I made the comment, like, "Hey, the cat! Hey, at least we get more footage of the cat." And she commented, "It's pretty bad when the positive is that there's a lot of scenes with the cat."
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Well,
The sad thing is, for how drab this movie is, I don't even know if you could even make a drinking game out of it.
There's just no content. Like there's not any tropes. There's not any like repetition. Like it's just like that. Honestly, that's the worst part of this whole movie, is that I watched the whole thing sober. Like if I had been plastered, it would have been less painful, But I watched this thing stone cold sober, and it was the worst decision I've ever made.
Yeah. But I will say this, despite after this we got the Roger Moore era. Live and Let Die is a better movie. I'm pretty sure it is. Despite what people might say with the Roger Moore era, because and this is still Guy Hamilton directing. I think out of all the Bond films, I think Live and Let Die is the best one that he's directed. But yeah, I'll say this much: like, he doesn't play Bond too none of like the Roger Moore films are like really that serious movies, but I don't think they're gonna be as drab as this.
It would be really, really tough.
So
really tough.
We'll see. We'll see what Ted thinks about the Roger Moore era. I'm interested in seeing that. I'm glad to be done with this movie. But unfortunately, I don't think we've hit the bottom of the barrel just yet. But we've come close.
Wolf.
But anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell on the CCG YouTube page. Also, don't forget to join the Discord and follow us on Twitch with me at Traductus and Ted at Ted Green Eagles.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I guess if you're just interested in more of the watch parties, as long as they're still going, we've been doing those on Tuesday evenings in the Discord. So if you're interested in joining, feel free to hop in and watch with us. But otherwise, I think that wraps us up.
Yeah.
All right. See y'all next week.
Yep.